Star Astrology. I hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to another video. If this is your first time here, hi, my name's Abigail. I'm an astrologer, a yogi, general student of life, and on this channel I like to make videos about astrology, tarot, veganism, and kind of general spirituality. And today I have your weekly forecast. This is for the week of October 12th through October 18th, and I'm gonna do something a little bit different today. I was chatting with my mom the other day, and she watches my videos, and she sometimes gets lost in the like astrology terminology, and so I thought I'd try and give a little bit more of like a layperson's approach to the week with more general advice. And then if you want to hear about the specific transits on specific dates, I'll have a section for that as well. So let's dive on in. So generally speaking, with the planets in the sky right now, there's a lot of exhaustion. There's this just kind of general like weight that's hanging on everyone, and everyone is like doing their part to kind of like lift up the world or even just lift up their own personal worlds. And the astrology of this week involves some tightening of certain aspects. And for those of you who don't know, aspects is basically just a fancy way of saying the planets interacting with each other. Think of a dialogue between them. And the dialogue between the planets this week is challenging. It's very much the ego versus the world. There's kind of this battle between what do I do for myself selfishly that helps me versus what is good for the general public, and how can I stay engaged with the world while I feel so much weight and difficulty on myself. There are a couple malefics, i.e. bad planets, in play this week, which means that things are just going to feel a little bit more challenging. And on top of all this, in case we needed something else with the sky, we have a new moon this week. And I'll get more into the details of what this specific new moon means when I talk about like the more detailed astrological transits of this week. But anytime there's a new moon, our energy is low. Like, you think of the moon gets smaller and smaller, and then it goes dark for a few days. And this is our kind of time of the month where we are, just feeling really drained. Like, we've kind of reached our peak, we've expended a lot of energy, and right now is just the time to sit back and rest. So my advice, generally the astrological energy of this week, is take some time to rest and take things slowly. There's no rush. This week is a good time to kind of wrap up projects if you want to finish something, or a time to just completely take a break, take some time off, delete social media for a day or something. But this isn't the week to start new projects. This isn't a week to switch your job, like change up the dynamic in your family, like have a serious conversation with a partner. This is a very much introspective week. This is the time to go within, to do some self-reflection, meditate, journal, go for a walk, like get out in nature and connect to yourself in that way. But generally, yeah, this week, keywords I would say are slowing down, taking a break, and conclusions, like wrapping things up as needed, and then allowing yourself to rest. Astrologically, when it comes to the moon, the balsamic moon is the last few days before a new moon, and that's a time to just really simmer down and chill. And then you have the new moon, where we don't see the moon in the sky at all. It's just not there. And then the first few days after the new moon are kind of a slow build-up, but you still don't see the moon for a few days. There's not a lot of light in the sky, and actually as I'm talking, I'm realizing the moon reflects the light of the sun, and there's a lot of stuff going on with the sun astrologically this week. A lot of planets are dialoguing with the sun, and so the sense of self, the ego, our vitality, which is represented by the sun, is not being reflected back because the moon is new. The moon is dark, and we're not getting that validation we need. We're not getting that kind of like interaction with others or recognition. And so instead of kind of getting angry about that and like, why does no one see me for who I am? Why is no one celebrating me? Like, no one's giving me compliments? Like, instead of turning it into a story of why other people aren't treating you a certain way, weeks like this, where we have a new moon smack dab in the middle of the week, that's the time to go within and do some more internal work. Regardless of what else is happening in the world, doing your internal work. That being said, make sure you are registered to vote, because a lot of state deadlines to register are this week. I know if you're in Oregon, the deadline is October 13th, which is Tuesday of this week, like 3 days from when I'm filming. So make sure you're registered to vote, and then after that, you can like follow the advice of the astrology this week and chill out. Yeah, that's kind of the general overview, general energy of the astrology this week, and advice based off of that. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into the astrology, I'm going to tackle that right now. I'll talk about what transits are happening on what days and what different days will specifically look like. And if you just want to jump to the oracle cards at the end for your advice and words of wisdom, I'll put a timestamp in the description box, on the screen somewhere, all those good places, so you can just skip ahead if you don't really understand or don't really want to listen to my more in-depth descriptions. Wherever you decide to go, it's choose your own adventure. I will see you there. Hey there, so if you picked the choose your own adventure to go to the deep dive into the astrological transits of this week, welcome. This week, like any other week in astrology, we need to consider the backdrop of what's happening. We still have a massive T-square between Mars in Aries, the Sun in Libra, and then everything in Capricorn, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And a T-square basically means we have two planets opposite each other, and then the three in Capricorn making a square. Like, think of a four-way stop where everyone's kind of like, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go, okay, I'll go, and then they all go at once and crash into each other. That's kind of the energy of the sky right now. Basically, everywhere you turn, you're met with challenges. Mars is a challenging planet, and then everything in Capricorn is pretty challenging. And even though Jupiter is a benefic planet, it's in its fall in Capricorn, so it's not doing too hot there. All this to say, that's just kind of the backdrop that needs to be considered when we dive into any of the astrological transits happening at any time. And then for this week specifically, we're not adding a bunch of new energies, but some of the aspects I mentioned when I was talking about that T-square are going exact this week, meaning that they are getting to their exact degree rather than being an orb. And orbs can be anywhere from a whole entire 30-degree sign to a couple degrees. But when it goes exact, it means that they're at the exact same degree. And our first aspect going exact this week is on Thursday the 15th, and that is the Sun in Libra making a square to Pluto in Capricorn. This is a challenging aspect. Like any square, this is a challenging aspect because these two planets are coming at each other from 90 degrees. Like I said earlier with my T-square intersection analogy, think of this as like getting T-boned from another car. The Sun is like the ego, the vitality, our core sense of self. It's just kind of driving along, and then Pluto like comes in at a 90-degree angle and like smacks us in the side. And Pluto is about destruction and death and rebirth, usually things that have to do with like the underworld or the unseen, or the shadow side of self is often portrayed by Pluto. And one of the clearest indicators on a very personal level for this day is having some realizations about yourself, especially ones that are not comfortable or flattering. Like, this might be the day where you realize that you respond to anger when you don't need to, or that you jump to certain emotional extremes very quickly, or you don't actually listen to people when they're talking, or whatever it is. You're gonna kind of realize like, ooh, I actually do that a lot and I'm not proud of that. And this week is not necessarily the time to remedy that immediately, but I feel like you're gonna kind of realize some less than flattering things about yourself with that aspect. And on a more mundane level in the world, it's just kind of the sense of self clashing with the destruction in the world. And do I engage with destruction? Do I hold on to my sense of self while the world falls apart around me? Do I engage with that while losing my sense of self? And just kind of battling self versus the world, and maintaining or creating even versus destroying. Again, a challenging aspect, but this has kind of been going on for a while. So it's not like this is gonna happen on this day and then it will never happen again. These thoughts have probably been building for a while and will reach a culmination on Thursday the 15th. And then on Friday the 16th, we have our new moon for the month. And October of 2020 is kind of cute astrologically for the sole reason that it's bookended with full moons. We get a full moon on the 1st and a full moon on the 31st. So that's really fun, but basically everything else in astrology is not fun right now. And even those full moons are not easy, but we get our kind of like chance to restart in the middle of the month. Like I said in the intro, and like I've said in other videos, full moons are times of culmination, of like reaching the highest peak of like that full intensity, the fullest expression of something. They're times to manifest and create and be with people and celebrate life. And new moons are times to retreat, meditate, write intentions, reset in a way. And so this is our one chance to do that this month. And obviously you can set goals and, start fresh at any point. But if you work with lunar magic, you work with the cycles of the moon, this new moon on the 16th is your time to do that. And this new moon, of course, is opposing Mars. It's making a square to everything in Capricorn, so it's not necessarily an easy new moon or that fresh rebirth that we look for in new moons most of the time. That being said, it's one of the better aspects that we have right now. And so if you do want to take advantage of this time to lie low for a couple of days, reflect on yourself, and then set intentions to kind of start a new chapter, this is the time to do so. And then our final aspect for the week, well, actually 2 aspects on one day, is on October 18th, Sunday of this week. We have the Sun making a square to Saturn and Venus opposing Neptune. Obviously the Sun is in Libra, Saturn is in Capricorn, and then our Venus-Neptune opposition is Venus in Virgo opposite Neptune in Pisces. Basically, to sum it up quickly, this day is a day to not push the boundaries because you'll be met with more resistance than is worth fighting through. With the saying like work smarter, not harder, working smarter this Sunday is taking a break. And instead of like using your brute strength to force your way ahead and like force something into place that doesn't make sense, this is a day to just kind of take a step back and let it breathe for a moment. And then Venus opposite Neptune, on a very general level, indicates confusion surrounding relationships. And this can be communication within relationships or just generally the idea of relationships, kind of like a what are we type of question. So yeah, to sum up, basically Sunday, don't try and have any difficult conversations. Don't try and like break down any existing like boundaries or rules. Just kind of lay low for a day. Maybe even like taking time to journal and think about how you, i.e. the Sun, fit in with the boundaries and structures and restraints of this world, i.e. Saturn, and kind of how those two work or don't work together. And with Neptune in play, Neptune is about confusion, but it's also very idealistic and kind of just like dreamy, hypothetical. And so you could use that to your advantage this day because Neptune is making a sextile, a minor positive aspect to Saturn and Capricorn. If you did kind of want to idealize this day, you can, but I wouldn't say actually take action on it. More just like think about it and let it ruminate for a bit. I think that's all the astrology for this week. A quick recap of dates if you want to write these down in your planner or whatever. On Thursday the 15th, we have the Sun making a square to Pluto. The Sun is in Libra, Pluto is in Capricorn. On Friday the 16th, we have our new moon of the month. The new moon is in Libra. And then on Sunday the 18th, the Sun in Libra is making a square to Saturn in Capricorn. And then Venus in Virgo is making an opposition to Neptune in Pisces. Let's dive into the oracle cards now. All right, everyone, so I've pulled 3 cards for this week. This is our general advice and words of wisdom. The first one I pulled is Cultivate Stillness, which, like I've been saying throughout this entire video, this is a week to rest. This is a week to kind of slow down and wrap things up. This is not a time to kind of rev your engine. It's a time to put it in park for a little bit. I feel like I've had a lot of car analogies in this specific video, but this is a time to kind of chill for a little bit and cultivate stillness. This can be with meditating. This can be with journaling. This can be with like just sitting in nature and observing the world around you without thinking too much. I mean, as much as you can, obviously. This can also be cultivating stillness by clearing out your schedule or saying no to things that you don't really want to do, but you feel obligated to. Creating stillness by creating space for you to be still, if that makes sense. Instead of like trying to squeeze a meditation session into the middle of your very busy day, maybe saying no to one or two things that you have added onto your plate recently and cultivating stillness in that way. Yeah, I feel like this card is very self-explanatory. Take a moment, look within, and I've said this in another video, but it's very powerful when you can kind of cultivate that stillness within, because when you do that, no matter how crazy the world is around you, you have that place to go back to, that place of calm and still. So if you can work on cultivating that space this week, these cards are advising that you try that. And then our next card is make space for it. And I literally was just talking about this other card about clearing away some space in your schedule to create stillness. And more generally speaking, this card is talking about making space for what you want in your life. And this can apply to so many and making space can apply to so many different things. This can be making space for your emotions to come in, making space or time to read more or to exercise or to meditate. It could also be making space for the things that you enjoy in your life, hobbies or whatever. This can be on your social media, like deleting people who make you feel bad about yourself. You can delete those. Make space for the good things in your life to grow, kind of by clearing away the negative. Like I was saying with this week, we're wrapping things up and we're taking some time to rest. So this card is basically saying, tie up those loose ends, finish those projects, like kind of seal it and send it away, and then make space for new things. Because you can't just keep adding more and more things into your life, or more habits, or hobbies, or physical possessions, or emotions. At a certain point, you kind of need to clear it out, like do a good deep cleaning. And I feel like this week is a deep cleaning on a very personal level. So make space for the emotions and hobbies and habits and practices and people that bring you joy. And then our final card is release, which I think is probably more suited to a full moon week, but this week we also do have a bit of that full moon energy, quote unquote, because of all those things going on with the sun, making squares to challenging planets. The sun, like I've said many times, is our ego, our core sense of self. And when we're confronted with challenging planets, when we're confronted with limitations or the shadow sides of ourselves, it can be really uncomfortable. And so this card is asking you to release any attachment to that. I know this phrase is overused, but release what is not serving you, what is not helping you become the best version of yourself. This is not something that happens overnight, especially with some of the aspects this week that really confront you with who you are and how you act. And it can be kind of ugly sometimes. Releasing doesn't happen overnight, but it's a process to be thinking about this week. And this could even be part of your new moon intentions for this week of releasing old emotional habits or old relationships or practices or habits or hobbies that are no longer serving you. That's all I have for you this week. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this new format of kind of the basic overview, astrology, more in-depth technical term section, and then the oracle cards at the end, please let me know down in the comments. I'm trying it out. I think it worked okay, but I really won't know until I edit. And yeah, if you want to see me in other places, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at AstroAbs, and I don't post on there a lot. You're welcome to follow though. And then I'm on TikTok at AstroAbs3, and I was posting tarot videos on there, but I just post videos of my cat now. Please like and subscribe if you aren't already. Leave a comment. Again, let me know what you thought of this new format, or just your thoughts on the astrology of this week, because it's 2020. The astrology is unfavorable most of the time. But yeah, I will see you guys later. Bye.